Welcome back to another episode of All That Jazz. My name is Giovanni, your host, and I'm happy to say that my family and I have returned safely from our summer vacation trip from Jeju this last Friday. And I gotta say, it was an amazing trip. We were there for about 6 days. A lot of things happened that I'm about to jump into shortly, but just to give a quick summary, we were there for 6 days. And the day we left, a week ago today, it rained. It rained heavily. So as we were waiting for the shuttle van to take us to the airport, we were just complete not drenched necessarily, but because it is the typhoon season, we are expecting a lot more rain than usual. So we kind of just used whatever we had in our hands. In my case, it was the baby stroller to kind of shelter ourselves from the rain as we waited. Unfortunately, our flight was delayed due to the rain. I think about an hour and a half or so, which again wasn't too bad. We got there at a decent time, so we were able to, grab a bite to eat before takeoff. And then once we arrived in Jeju in the evening, it took us about another 50 minutes or so from the airport down to our pension at the tip of the island. But when we finally arrived, check-in was fairly easy, and we changed right away into our swimsuits, and we went into the pool. I know Sophie was really anxious to swim. It was the one thing she was looking forward to leading up to the trip. And yes, speaking of children, so what I want to discuss today is basically health as far as raising kids, one kid versus two kids, how often parents fall under the weather, how often parents become a little bit more sick than usual versus adults who typically don't have children. And that's basically going to be the highlight of the episode today. So let's get into it. I want to briefly discuss what's happening as of right now at the recording of this episode. I am currently infected, if you will, with the hand, foot, mouth disease. It's not very pleasant. I'm in some pain. I'm not gonna lie. Primarily in my feet. So if you don't know what hand, foot, mouth disease is, it's basically a highly contagious disease that causes blistering of the mouth, the feet, and the hands. So you can expect sores on those parts of your body. And unfortunately, when we were leaving for Jeju, my son, he started to get a fever. Like I think the night before our flight. And so like the next 2 days we monitored him, and we were just kind of concerned, like, do we have to seek medical attention? Do we have to go to the hospital? Is this something that just needs to be happening the minute we land? So that it was a big concern because he did, break out in rashes, and we didn't really know where it was coming from. We thought maybe because with the rising of temperatures that maybe it was like a heat wave that caused these blisters, whether it was new clothing that it might have been too tight for him. We really didn't know. And it wasn't until the morning of the flight that we noticed all these bumps and rashes started to spread over his arms and legs. And so immediately I wanted to take him to the hospital, but my wife thought otherwise. She thought this is just something that it was just going to pass over. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't really take that too well. Like I knew that this kid just needed attention. He just needed to see a doctor because I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want this to be something serious or contagious in that case, foreshadowing there. But ultimately, we did end up taking him. So fast forward a couple days into the trip, next thing we know, Sophie, right, my eldest daughter, she started to pick up the symptoms. She started to catch a fever. She started to get little rashes on her body, especially like on her stomach, her abdomen, some on her thighs and legs. But the biggest difference was that she wasn't getting, bumps all over the place like her little brother did. And within a couple of days, like she was fine. I mean, they both healed. Well, Fast forward couple more days after that, and it turned out that I started to come down with the symptoms. But when I was doing my research of the time about the symptoms, the causes, how to contain the spread of it, I thought it primarily just targeted children under ages of 5 and under, maybe 10 at best. Now, I knew that it was possible that adults get it, but I didn't really think it would really happen to either of us. Maybe that was just foolish thinking. But just a couple days ago, that's where I started to notice the symptoms. I woke up one morning to just really swollen feet, and I couldn't really just describe the pain. Like, I just felt like, well, I knew that blisters were coming in, but I thought it was because of the shoes, because we walked a ton in Jeju. I mean, we walked everywhere, and I only had my flippy floppies, right? My chanclas. And so I thought maybe with all the friction walking everywhere, maybe I just started to get blisters there. But again, when I woke up that particular morning, like, my feet were just so swollen, like it hurt to even like flex my toes, to even like move them up and down. And then upon inspecting them further, I saw that the red blisters just scattered all over the bottom of my feet. And I thought, dear God, like, do I have this disease? Like, did I catch it from my kids? And I thought to myself, well, gosh, with my parents here, we're all staying in one place, we're hosting them at our place. I don't want this to spread. I don't want to contain it. And then I remember thinking to myself, like, gosh, like, since becoming a dad, I'm far more likely to get sick or catch something, whether it's virus. I think last year when I caught COVID, I passed it to my family, right? Because we're all under one roof. And so I just kind of wanted to look up, how often adults get sick, parents, specifically, since they're regularly caring for sick children. Because I couldn't tell you the number of times my kids are coming down with colds ever so frequently. I think just like today, I think Gianna has another minor cold. But there was a study in the journal Clinical Infectious Diseases that revealed that parents are 28% more likely to get sick than those without any children. So, that makes a lot of sense. And if I did, officially come down with this diagnosis of hands, foot, mouth disease, well, it's only a matter of time until somebody else gets it, unfortunately. I remember the first thing I did was message my manager, let him know, hey, this is the dealio. If I can't come in after some vacation this upcoming Tuesday, well, then forget about it. I don't want to take the chance of going to work and having to walk around uncomfortable, right? Because every step that I take currently is just, it aches. It really does, like, ache. I don't even know how to describe the pain, but it's pretty intense. So again, I might go to the doctor tomorrow, get that all checked out, and hopefully that'll kind of be the end of it. I heard that there isn't any kind of particular treatment for it. I think it's just something that just heals over time, unfortunately, so I just have to stay hydrated and rest. But that's pretty much that. Common colds, as I mentioned before, my wife and I see that in our kids maybe about every other month, I want to say. Again, the changing of the seasons. Again, right now it's rainy season, so again, maybe it could be allergies or something, or the humidity in the air is definitely causing my kids to constantly come down with common colds. Now, a good thing with my parents coming to visit is they actually brought some common cold medicine from the U.S. Like, every time that I'm sick in Korea, I know that healthcare is amazing. I know that the pharmacies will offer, very affordable medications. So it's never a concern, burning holes in our wallets for common medicine. But I just felt like it just wasn't strong enough, at least for me, at least what I grew up with in America. So the one thing I only had on me was Vicks. If you guys are familiar with that, Vicks is just one of those like nasal decongestions that you just kind of rub on your chest or your nose. Like, as a kid, I always had that. I always had Vicks as a go-to whenever I had like a stuffy nose or I couldn't sleep at night. I would just rub it on the soles of my feet, put some socks on, wrap up, and just call it a night. But no, my parents did bring over some medicine. None of them are sponsored, by the way, but it's basically just like NyQuil, Dayquil, things of that nature. Things that just, you take it, you knock out, you sleep the whole night through, you don't have to worry about tossing and turning. But unfortunately, my dad is, he's coming down with something as well. We kind of noticed that a couple of days ago. We're hoping it's just a common cold. He has been getting lots of rest. He had a slight fever, I think, the day after we came back from Jeju. So I hope, again, he doesn't get infected with this disease. It is difficult knowing that there's 6 people living under one roof and my kids are coming down with something. So, I mean, it is. With parenting, like, you just have to expect that. You're going to know that your kids are just going to get sick all the time. Especially at the school that I work at, like, I always have kids with colds or the flu or something else, right? It just spreads like wildfire. So I can't tell the number of times that Sophie comes home with just like a cold, which she passes on to Giano, and then they're sick, and eventually I get sick, and I pass it to my wife, and it's just a vicious, circle that goes on and on and on. Um, so any parents, obviously, who have kids, child, 2 children, three, four, five, you know that when one's sick, it's only a matter of time until you're sick. And the only thing you can do is just kind of, take care of them. Make sure they stay hydrated. Make sure they rest. My mom, I don't know about you guys, but my mom would always make me chicken soup. They do say chicken soup is probably one of the best remedies out there. I know here in Korea, whenever I'm feeling sick, I always like to eat what's called juk. Juk is like a Korean porridge. It's basically just like rice. I don't think there's gravy inside of it, but you can add like chicken, a little bit of vegetables. And it's like really, really good for you. So I do like that. As a teacher, I'm constantly finding myself getting sick all the time. It's never the best feeling in the world, but it is what it is. And only time and slight medication will heal that. But if I can just briefly talk about, I know I keep talking about summer. I just kind of want to highlight just a little bit all of the fun activities just to kind of get away from this negative disease, sickness talk. Our Jeju trip, just quick couple minutes. So when we got there Sunday. It rained, I think, like the first 3 days. So there was only so much we could do. We didn't rent a car or anything, and everything was pretty close to our pension area. So the first couple of days, we just kind of did like indoor things. We went to like a nice museum, a trick eye, where they have like the cool art that gives the illusion that you're either in the paintings. Some other things we did go again to the swimming pool, and we went to the beach, which was about a 30-minute walk from our place. And unfortunately, the day we went, it was it didn't rain too much, but it was just really cloudy. It was quite an overcast. But the best thing about it, near that beach was this little bar. It was right on the cliff, and it was actually called The Cliff. And it was actually really cool. It was a really cool vibe. They had like an outdoor patio with a bunch of like lawn chairs and really cool like benches to kind of like picnics, like a picnic style, right, under big umbrellas. Right near us, they had like little museum attractions like Teddy Bear Museum, Chocolate Land. There was a botanical garden that we went to visit, and we actually got lucky. The last portion of our trip, Wednesday to Friday, it was like hot. It was funny because we wanted sun so much that by the time the sun actually did come out, it was like 93, 95 degrees outside, and it was just blistering hot. Like you didn't want to like go anywhere because it was just like sweltering. And I mean, you can't have both, right? You always got to complain about something. But no, overall, like when we left on Friday, the weather was beautiful. I mean, we made the best of it. It was an early flight, but there was like no delay. There was nothing as far as like bad weather, no rain. It was a clear blue sky. But the trip overall was great. My parents are still here for another, I think like a week and a half. So I go back to work this week. My summer vacation is ending tomorrow. But no, I still plan on doing some fun things with my parents. Again, I hope my dad is feeling better. I do wish him a speedy recovery. I hope my mom is not coming down with anything herself. But everything else is quite all right. It's just unfortunate that this little disease is spreading around the family, which is unfortunate. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. In the meantime, I'm probably going to go ahead and end the episode here so that I could get some rest and feel a lot better myself. But if you haven't already, head over to my Linktree where you can access my travel blog as well as all my social icons for my media pages, YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook page for All That Jazz. Jump over to your favorite podcast platform where you can listen in on all previous episodes. And don't forget to get notifications when new episodes are released. Until next time, and take care.